tell us, because I know that you've been through like fundraising and now like you are a fully funded platform. But what I think would be interesting for people watching is that, what is that like? An intense season of rallying like that.
Right. And I don't pretend to have like tons of knowledge on this. Like I'm learning every day and learning from both my mistakes and from the opportunities. The experience has been, well, first, so fun, like a great learning experience. I'm passionate about it. Like love what we're doing and the mission of Neighbor. But it definitely is, I don't know, there's the phrase where you don't see the grass grow, but it's actually growing, like if you're looking at it. And sometimes we have to look back to remember like the spreadsheet days and how we were running Neighbor off an Excel spreadsheet and making phone calls and knocking doors to make it work. And now we have this automated process with a really great team. I think the first season for us, like I was saying, was this idea phase where our Neighbor lived on pitch decks and it lived in Excel spreadsheets. And it was us going and trying to share this idea when really we didn't even have like working customers in those first early days. I remember we were going into this pitch competition, and it was a big one that we were nervous about. I was sitting with one of my co-founders, Colton Gardner, and we realized that night before, it was like 10 p.m., we don't have a paying customer yet. We can't get on a stage and say Neighbor works if we don't have a paying customer. And so we started calling around, and like I'm a little embarrassed, but also like not embarrassed, but it's a funny story to hear how our first paying customer was, we got Colton's dad to store a box of his yearbooks at one of our host house for $10 a month. And it was one of those moments where I got on stage and I felt like a fraud, but we could say Neighbor works. Like we have people using our platform. And since then, like obviously come leaps and bounds. And it's amazing to see when like we'll have someone that gets on our platform that we have absolutely no association with, and someone else that has listed their space that we have absolutely no association with, but they see the value of Neighbor, they're excited to use it, and they pair and they're paying customers. That's like a big win moment for like us as a founding team.
Absolutely. So in terms of pitching something like that, when you, just that sheer tenacity of going in and, I mean, who are you pitching? That was a pitch contest, but who else?
What do you mean? Like, who am I pitching?
Yeah. Who else were you going and like, are you knocking on doors?
Oh, right. Yeah. So like we were obviously pitching to our future customers. So the early days really were knocking doors. We'd pick neighborhoods. We'd say, okay, we think these people will have space and be interested. And so it was this kind of reverse syndrome of rather like this reverse scenario, rather than knocking on a door and saying, would you like to buy this like pest control or alarm system, which are great businesses. We're actually trying to sell them on, would you like to make money? Like, would you like to make money off your space? We see that you have an RV pad. Did you know that you could make money every month by letting one of your neighbors store here? And it's this cool scenario where it's a symbiotic relationship. The renter themselves, like Neighbor is 50% the price of traditional storage. And then vice versa, like the homeowner is making meaningful income. They'll make anywhere from $50 to $200-$300 a month off our platform. And so to sell them on that was just like, we're not trying to sell you a product. We just want to help you understand that your space can make you money.
Now, in terms of getting started, I think now, with the internet and how that all works, maybe people starting a company assume they don't have to do that anymore.
Assume that they don't have to knock doors. Yeah, my biggest piece of advice in starting the company was the fact that you really don't need a product to start the company. In fact, I wouldn't recommend it. Like starting with that spreadsheet, and it literally was, we had a list of names of people that said, yes, I potentially have space. And then we were doing flyers and trying to figure out like who needs storage. And we had another list of those names, people that needed storage, and then just calling one after the other and trying to pair them manually. Like it was a very scrappy process, but it was those early days we realized we had something special. People were excited to be paired. They were excited to save money. They were excited to make money. And that was the justification of like, we need to get a team. We need to build this website and we need to help like pair people. So I think the notion of I need to like raise a ton of money and build this fancy, expensive website or app in order to make this company work, it isn't the guiding principle. It should be prove it first in your scrappy minimum viable product way.
Absolutely.